gas prices surging across the country. Our breaking news anchor Riley Garand has more on the story and why this is happening.
Plus, Visa and MasterCard suspend their operations in Russia amid Russia's invasion of Ukraine. This as Russian President Vladimir Putin dials up his threats against sanctions.
And famous college basketball coach, Coach K, finishes his last game. All that and more tonight on Newswatch.
Covering Ithaca and all of Tompkins County. From ICTV News, this is Newswatch.
Good evening and welcome to Newswatch. I'm Erica Liberati.
And I'm Melissa Spady. Tonight, gas prices are on the rise across the country. New York is currently seeing its average price at its highest since 2012. Breaking news analyst Riley Garand is live in studio with more. Riley?
That's right, Alyssa. If you've been on the roads this week, you may have noticed a change in prices when pumping gas. Nationwide, gas prices are on the rise. The regular gas price in New York State is currently $4.14, an increase of 34 cents since the beginning of last week. Premium gas also saw a 27-cent increase, with the current cost being $4.58. Prices in New York State on Friday were actually the highest they have been since October 2012. When looking at our scorecard, this is the highest weekly jump in price since September 2017. Now, in comparison, this morning in California, the average gas price sits at $5.18, which is the highest cost of fuel in the U.S. And you might be wondering why your gas bill is increasing. Now let's take a look. For this week in particular, the conflict in Ukraine and Russia has impacted the prices more directly, and it's intensified the already existing inflation nationally. In a statement by AAA, they explain that, quote, oil prices have a direct impact on gas prices, and they are at the highest level seen in more than a decade. The sanctions set against Russia have skyrocketed gas prices. AAA also explained in a statement that oil prices respond poorly to market volatility, and that further sanctions and effects on the supply chain will continue to rise prices. This increase in price is nothing new, though. Gas prices have been inching higher since the decrease in gas demand during the worst of the pandemic in 2020. As people continue to feel safer to travel and the weather warms up, this demand for gas will continue to rise. Erica, back to you at the desk.
Thank you, Riley. Turning now to Russia's invasion in Ukraine. Yesterday, MasterCard and Visa announced they would be suspending their operations in Russia due to the ongoing invasion. All Russian Visa cards will be restricted to payments made within the country, and all non-Russian Visa cards will no longer work for payments in the country. President Biden welcomed the move by Visa and MasterCard as Western countries continue to cut imported goods and services from Russia. And just days before Visa and MasterCard made the move, local colleges were also speaking out on the issue. Ithaca College partnered with the Finger Lakes Film Festival to host a panel discussion about the war in Ukraine. The in-person and virtual panel featured Zenon Wazili, who is a global history professor at the college and a specialist in Ukraine affairs. Topics discussed at the event included social media's role in the war, global issues, as well as how the violence could end in Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. Meanwhile, Cornell University's President Martha Pollack commended the invasion in Ukraine. Pollack called Russia's violence, quote, deplorable and unprovoked. She confirmed that no Cornell students, faculty, or staff are in Ukraine or Russia at this time. She also announced that the university will also be a safe harbor for students disrupted by the ongoing invasion. And speaking of Ithaca College, the school just dropped its mask mandate on Friday in addition to the Ithaca City School District earlier last week. Newswatch reporter Annika Yulin spoke with those at the college to find out more behind the decision.
New York State has officially dropped the school mask mandate as of this Friday, the 4th. The decision comes after a new low in the number of reported COVID cases within the state. For Tompkins County, this means that the decision to wear a mask will be left up to the individual classroom and professor.
I understand that there are lots of people who are ready, but I think a lot of us aren't yet. So I was glad that I was given some autonomy to decide how to run the classrooms, because I think classrooms are really distinctive. You don't get to choose who you're in the room with. You're often pretty crowded in a room, and so I'm glad that the classrooms are being treated a little differently.
The Ithaca City School District said they support those who wish to continue wearing masks. However, they will no longer be required in public indoor settings, regardless of vaccination status.
Oh, I'm definitely going to continue to wear my mask. I have friends who are immunocompromised. and it's been really stressful seeing them have to deal with this.
Officials plan to reevaluate the mandate in April. This upcoming week, however, will be our first taste of the new policy. Here in Ithaca, we will yet again be adjusting to a new normal. Reporting for Newswatch, I'm Monica Euland. New York State
Thanks,
has
Monica. This past Friday, Ithaca launched their law enforcement assisted diversion, also called the LEAD program. County Legislator Travis Brooks announced the new plan, which aims to redirect misdemeanor crimes to community-based services rather than imprisoning individuals. LEAD attempts to break down the root causes of poverty, addiction, and mental health rather than simply resorting to police action. Tompkins County District Attorney Matthew Van Houten says he's dedicated to providing essential supportive services for marginalized communities in Ithaca. The Tompkins County Human Services Coalition is conducting a survey for local renters within the community to speak about their experiences renting in the area. The survey will be anonymous and will address questions relating to income, rental locations, and rental costs. Liddy Bargar, director of the Human Services Coalition, says there aren't plans for the data yet, but it will be used to gauge how housing conditions can be improved within the community. To complete the survey, go to hsctc.qualtrics.com.
And an uptick in emergency calls, shortage of employees, and rising costs of operating an EMS squad has caused recent issues in rural America, specifically here in upstate New York. The Dryden Ambulance Company relies on fundraisers and municipal support, as well as volunteers to fill in these gaps, and is working hard to keep response times low despite an increase from 21 to 27 calls per day from 2016 to 2021. Becoming an EMT volunteer requires as much as 18 months of training.
And now let's turn it over to Newswatch weatherman Sam Copland to see what's coming later on his weather forecast. Sam?
Yeah, so we had an exceptionally warm day today with temperatures in the low to mid 70s. That's more typical for mid to late May in this area. This was due in large part to this powerful warm front that came through earlier, but notice not too far behind that we have a cold front, and that could be responsible for this. This is a snowfall map, and we're going to talk about that and more coming up in your full forecast.
All right, thanks, Sam. Coming up this April, the town of Ithaca will be hosting a 420-day cannabis-themed dinner. The Ithaca Community School of Music and Arts will be providing a 3-course meal of cannabis-infused dishes. There will be live music and a comedy show to accompany the meal. This event will be open for those over the age of 21, and there will be a $20 cover fee to attend. The dinner is set to take place on Wednesday, April 20th. And this weekend marked the return of the annual Chili Festival in downtown Ithaca. Newswatch reporter Noah Ressler went down to the scene to check it out.
Hundreds of people lined up to get tickets for the 24th annual Chili Cook-Off in the Commons. Held on Saturday, March 5th, this event had a much better turnout than last year. Chili vendors from over 20 of Ithaca's restaurants brought meat chili, vegetarian chili, or both. Sebring Inn, Kilpatrick's, Green Star Food Co-op, and many more local businesses were represented at the cook-off. People of all ages were in attendance. Some have been coming here for years, others are just experiencing the Chili Festival for the first time.
I've been working here for 8 years, so we've been here for 8 years at least. Many years before that. Yeah, it's what we love to do this. Just making people smile at my beautiful chili and enjoying this beautiful cold breeze.
Awards will be given out for the best meat chili, the best vegetarian or vegan chili, and the People's Choice for the best chili in all of Ithaca. Chili was the highlight of this event, but other stands sold jewelry, hot sauce, desserts, and more.
I'm here at the 24th annual Chili Cook-Off in the Ithaca Commons. The event is being held 1 month later than usual for safety reasons and to make sure that there is plenty of room to socially distance. It's pretty chilly out, but the vendors are very dedicated to serving us their best food.
Both meat and vegetarian or vegan options were available at the cook-off. Some even came specifically for the vegan options.
We're going to sample the vegan chilies, so we're hoping that there is a good selection.
Covered Bridge's owner was excited to be back for a second year. For Rob Jordan, there is no such thing as the best kind of chili.
Everything's got its own flavor, so it's all personal preference when it comes to food.
And most importantly, people and four-legged friends alike were so excited to be in person around all of the tasty treats. Keep an eye out for award results, and voting is still open for the People's Choice Best Chili Award. Reporting for Newswatch, I'm Noah Ressler.
Thanks for the story, Noah. Coming up next, another candidate for New York governor receives support from his party and the latest between Russia and Ukraine. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Newswatch. New York Congressman Lee Zeldin won the support of his colleagues to be the Republican nominee for the New York governor's race. Zeldin won 85% of the vote during a Republican convention held last Tuesday in Long Island. He's been the favorite to be the Republican nominee since he won a straw race this summer. However, he still has to wait until the primary in June to make his nomination official. He's expected to face off against 5 other Republicans, including Rob Astorino and Andrew Giuliani, if those candidates receive at least 15,000 petition signatures from their campaigns. The Republican nominee is expected to face Governor Kathy Hochul in the November general election. And on the topic of elections, New York elections will continue to use the new congressional and state Senate district maps amid controversy over the map being biased. The new maps were made by the Democratic-led government this year, but have met resistance by Republicans. Steuben County Surrogate Court Judge Patrick McAllister is not forthcoming to discard the new maps, as it would be not feasible to draw up new maps in time for the June primaries and November elections. Expert witnesses will be brought in next Monday, March 14th, to settle whether or not the maps are constitutional.
And a bill with over 40 New York State Assembly members as co-sponsors is picking up steam. The bill would place a 3-year moratorium on Bitcoin mining statewide. It would put a hold on companies creating cryptocurrency and adding them into circulation, targeting sites that use a form of fossil fuels. It would also require the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation to conduct an assessment of cryptocurrency mining in the state and examine its impact on the environment. A target of the bill is the site of the former Cayuga power plant, which is reportedly considered mining for cryptocurrency, creating environmental worries by some locals. And this week, a new legislative package on harassment in the workplace was passed in the New York State Senate. The bill is set to further protect independent workers, vendors, and consultants against discrimination and sexual harassment. The bill would also clarify some loopholes already in existence within workplace harassment policies. These changes will require further training for employees and will particularly apply to high-ranking officials.
And turning back to overseas, where the president of Ukraine, Vladimir Zelensky, told U.S. lawmakers that his country needs more assistance from America than it currently is given. In a virtual meeting with legislators, Zelensky showed gratitude towards the country for the help that it has provided so far. However, he requested an establishment of a no-fly zone over the region of Ukraine as Russia persists in its invasion. He also asked for more military support and sanctions, particularly when it comes to energy. However, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken spoke on the issue of a no-fly zone.
The only way to actually implement something like a no-fly zone is to send NATO planes into Ukrainian airspace and to shoot down Russian planes, and that could lead to a full-fledged war in Europe. President Biden has been clear that we are not going to get into a war with Russia.
And this past Saturday, President Vladimir Putin of Russia issued a series of threats against Ukrainians and the Western powers. Putin had a meeting in Moscow with the Russian flight crew at an Aeroflot training center to make his first few remarks since the invasion began just over a week ago. The Russian president said that if Ukraine continues to fight back against Russia, the future of their statehood would be in jeopardy. Putin also stated that Western sanctions would be, quote, the equivalent of a declaration of war, continuing by saying that he would consider countries imposing a no-fly zone over Ukraine as a direct participation in military conflict.
In other news tonight coming out of Russia, 2-time Olympic gold medalist and 7-time WNBA All-Star Brittany Griner has been arrested in Russia after a customs official found cannabis oil in her luggage at an airport next to Moscow. The Russian news agency TASS cited a law enforcement source saying that the American woman who was detained on drug charges is the skilled basketball player. It was stated that a dog working from the Customs Canine Department was able to pick up on the presence of narcotic substances in Griner's luggage. A criminal case has been since opened following her arrest.
After 42 years and 5 national championships, Duke University's head basketball coach Mike Krzyzewski coached his final home game for the Devils yesterday with nearly 100 former players in attendance to wish him farewell. A ceremony was held prior to the game to honor Coach K. However, the University of North Carolina Tar Heels spoiled the party as they defeated Duke by a score of 94-81. Coach K will retire at the conclusion of the season and will go out as the winningest coach in Division I basketball history. And on the topic of sports, let's toss it over to Rocco DiMaiolo to see what's coming on up later in sports. Rocco?
Thanks, Erica. While the weather starts to warm up on the Bombers men's and women's lacrosse teams are feeling the heat already as both teams remain hot in the early stages of their seasons. I'll have more on that. Plus, we'll go over the latest headlines over on the East Hill, and we'll see what's happening in the NBA. All that and much more. Back to you at the desk.
Thanks, Rocco. Stay with us after the break. Sam Claflin has your exclusive weather forecast.
Welcome back to Newswatch. Today was a nice warm day for everyone to enjoy. I know I sure did. But is this warm weather just a one-time instance? Newswatch weatherman Sam Copeland is live in studio with that answer and more. Sam?
So unfortunately, this time of year when it gets warm, it usually doesn't last for too long. So the answer to that is no, but we do still have some warm weather tonight. It's 61 degrees with partly cloudy skies. Temperatures fell off from the high of 76, which was a record, beat the record of 69 back in 1976. That was, I believe, taken at Cornell University. Temperatures have fallen a bit after some clouds have moved through and a few showers a few hours ago. So temperatures are at 61 degrees, winds coming in from the west. You'll notice it is a bit breezy out there, 10 to 15 with gusts up to 20. Those winds should back off a bit as we move further on overnight. So as we get into tonight, temperatures are going to fall off to around 37 degrees. Winds are going to still be gusty early, as I mentioned, but by late should back off a bit. And what's happening is we have a system. So we had a warm front move through earlier that's up over here, and then we have a cold front that's going to be affecting us later tonight, but mainly tomorrow. So as we get into the day tomorrow, you'll see this cold front right here. This is the GFS computer model. So we have some showers moving in early. Temperatures are going to still be well above average, 58 degrees, when they should really be in the mid-40s this time of year. But then as the cold front passes through our areas, winds are going to switch off to the northwest. It's going to be quite breezy out there, and temperatures are going to fall. So it's going to be 58 early. Then by late afternoon, temperatures will be in the 40s. And as we get into tomorrow night, there could actually be some snow, maybe around 1 to 2 inches in, say, the Tug Hill Plateau. In our area, maybe coating to an inch. And then as we look into our week ahead, Tuesday through Thursday should be calmer. And then our next system will be on track for Thursday night for Friday into Saturday. Notice these two pieces of energy here. They might merge by late week, and we're going to have to keep our eyes on that. So as we look into the 7-day forecast, tomorrow is going to be 58 degrees. Notice the snowflakes involved. That's going to be tomorrow night, so temperatures fall off to around 30 degrees. By Tuesday, 40 degrees. We recover nicely by Wednesday, around the 50-degree mark. Same to be said for Thursday with mostly sunny skies. And our next system is coming in Friday. Temperatures will start out kind of balmy, but then by evening we could actually switch over to some snow. It will be windy out there. Notice the wind icon for both Friday and Saturday, and then those snow showers will linger on into the rest of the weekend, making it feel more like February out there. So although it's going to get cold late week, make sure you enjoy the balmy weather tonight. Sending it back to you at the desk.
Thanks, Sam. I've really loved the warm weather today, and I'm definitely hoping that spring comes soon. After the break, Rocco DiMaiolo has everything you need to know about the world of sports. We'll be right back.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for tuning in to Newswatch. I'm Rocco DiMaiolo, and here's the latest in sports. Starting off with here on the South Hill, the Bombers men's and women's teams continued their winning ways this weekend as the number 5 ranked women nearly doubled Fairleigh Dickinson yesterday 21-11, while the men took down SUNY Geneseo 14-3. For the women, it was the sophomore attacker Maisie Veach to lead the way, registering 6 goals and 2 assists for a total of 8 points on the day. In goal for the Bombers, both Kayla Howley and Lexi Held would split the time evenly down the middle. Howley stopped 3 shots, while Held would stop 5. They're back in action this Saturday for their home opener against the University of Scranton. For the men, it was John Schremek to register 5 of the Bombers' 14 goals, and right behind him was Jack Erickson with 3 goals and 2 assists. Chase Gulick would recover 8 ground balls, and Ryan Lafferty would make 6 saves on the day. They'll be back in action this Tuesday at Higgins Stadium when they take on Haverford College. Switching things over to the East Hill, the Cornell men's basketball team finished their regular season on a high note, defeating Columbia yesterday 78-64 in Manhattan. Dean Knoll, Sergeant Patel, and Greg Dolan all put up 12 points for the Big Red as Kobe Dickinson recovered 7 rebounds. The Big Red finished their regular season 15-10 overall as they'll take the trip up to Cambridge, Massachusetts to take on Princeton for the start of the Ivy League tournament. And moving on to the NBA, Kevin Durant's dominant performance wasn't enough for the Brooklyn Nets to defeat Boston today as the Celtics came up on top 126-120. While Durant put up 37 points, recovered 6 rebounds, and had 8 assists, Jason Tatum registered 54 points, 5 rebounds, and 3 assists. Wow, that's astonishing play by Tatum. Taking a trip on the other side of the nation, the New York Knicks continue their West Coast road trip tonight when they take on the Los Angeles Clippers. Coverage for that game starts at 10 p.m. The Knicks currently sit 12th in the Eastern Conference at 25-38 overall, and they'll look to snap their 7-game losing streak. And that's all for Newswatch Sports. I'm Rocco DiMilo. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thanks, Rocco. Now turning to entertainment, where the new Batman movie made the highest grossing debut weekend this year so far.
That's right. The Batman grossed $128.5 million this past weekend. It also became the second highest grossing movie during the pandemic era, with Spider-Man No Way Home taking the #1 spot. The Batman has seen rave reviews so far, opening up the possibility for a sequel in the future. So, Erica, DC's not my cup of tea. I'm a huge Marvel fan, but I'm excited to see this new iteration of Batman.
I know. I'm actually going to see it tonight after the show, so I'm very excited. I'm very not, totally cultured in, the comic world, but, I'm very excited to see it. I don't know what to expect, because I've been, trying to read, not spoil it for myself, but also kind of see the reviews, and I've just seen they're really good, so I'm really excited for it.
Exactly. I mean, there's so many superhero movies coming out with Spider-Man, Morbius, this. I mean, if you're a superhero fan, you're definitely going to love this year of movies.
It is a great time to be a superhero fan. We mentioned too that Spider-Man No Way Home was, the highest grossing movie since the pandemic, and I personally loved it. I love a Tom Holland Spider-Man. So it was a great movie, and I'm just really excited to see people going back into the theaters and being able to watch these movies, especially, as the pandemic kind of gets our lives back to normal. I'm really excited to especially the superhero movies, they always get a good turnout, so it's really fun.
And I mean, for us especially, Robert Pattinson played such a crucial role in the Twilight series. So now seeing him evolve to this movie, and Zoe Kravitz, I mean, she's a rave actress.
Yes.
Her mother, Lisa Bonet, of course, famously. So it'll be exciting to see the two of them next to each other, side by side.
I know. I've heard so many good things. The two of them have made such a great duo, so I'm so excited, and I definitely didn't know what to expect from Robert Pattinson. I was like, Twilight, so definitely very excited to see it.
Well, you'll definitely have to tell me how the movie is, because I know I'll be right behind you seeing that.
Oh, 100%.
Well, that does it for this edition of Newswatch.
Tune in this Thursday for more with Jay Nanda and Ethan Birch. Tuesday, and be sure to follow us on Instagram and Twitter at ICTV News 607.
Thanks for watching, and have a good night.